Hi guys, good afternoon. So today is August 3, 2022, Wednesday at around 5:03 p.m. So silip tayo kay market, kakagising lang natin guys. At galing tayong pumuntang Quezon City. At sinamahan natin si Madam. So natulog tayo. Ano po yon? Mandaluyong yon? Ah, okay. Mandaluyong pala yon. So Mandaluyong pala yon. Tapos akala ko kasi magbandang doon, Quezon City na. So, ayan, silip tayo, nakatulog din tayo. So, masarap ng tulog natin. Um, sobrang sarap. Sarap din kasi na kinain namin kanina. So, ingredients yan. Pampataba. So, you too. Silip tayo kay market. Anong ginagawa ng market? Hindi tayo nakatrade kahapon. So, today, dapat meron tayong matrade. Meron tayong makita. Diba, binigyan ka na dito, binigyan ako kapon, hindi ko trade, binigyan ako kanina umaga, hindi ko pa rin trade. May mga conclusion ako sa isipan ko, yun ang gusto kong gamutin. Yun o, marami opportunity. Kanina red to sila eh, tapos ngayon green na naman. Excuse me. Pag titingnan ko sa daily, ayan, thank you ma'am, naayusan ako ng hair. So, dito na natin sa daily. So, nasa support. Kumbaga, ayan, nandito siya sa EMA 10, EMA 20. O, tsaka, ayan, sa daily yan. May pag crossover siguro ng 50 to EMA 10. Diba? So, yan. Pero dahil 4 hour tayo tumitingin, ito yung nangyari. Napakaganda ng ginawa niya. Hanggang saan yung maganda niyang ginagawa, yun ang magandang tanong. So, ito yung ginawa niya. Ang ganda talaga nito guys. Kahapon, di ko siya trinade kahit nasa support. So, dapat ganun. Dapat pag nasa support ako, trade na kagad. Huwag nga patumpik-tumpik. Kasi nga, ang reason, or pagka bumili ako, ano ba mga reason, dapat nasa support. 'Di ba? Or nasa resistant kung short, tapos nasa support kung long. So, ayun, diyan tayo laging napapahamak eh. Okay, nasa support siya, DB50 to sa kanya, sa box niya na to. And dati siyang resistance. So, super solid, 'di ba? Ito yung hinihintay ko, mag-pullback lang siya. 'Di ba? Tapos hindi ko trade. Anyway, balik tayo dito. Tingnan natin to. 4 hour na tayo. Diretso muna tayo 4 hour kasi gusto ko maghanap ng iti-trade. Ayan. Dahil ang ano ko kasi, exercise ko kasi for this week, dapat makapag-trade ako. Okay, makapag-execute. Why? Takot ako mag-execute. Feeling ko, magaling na ako mag-watchlist. Pero, every time nagwa-watchlist ko, ako, hindi ko naman tinitrade. Diba? Wala akong lakas loob na, okay, go ko na to, trade ko na to. Ayun. Ayan, nababawasan yung pawis natin sa likod together with the tissue. Si ma'am ulit. Ito, si Lit. Tingnan natin yung 4 hour ni Lit. Gano'n ba kaganda? Okay, hindi pa ito nag-move ng sobrang silit. Ito silit. Ayun, oh. Oh, may nakita pa akong pulbo. Ayan. Diba? Baby, baby. So, eto. Thank you, ma'am. Yan. So, ayan, nandito pa rin ako. Naiiwan tayo, pero andito pa rin tayo. Hindi tayo nakasakay kahapon. Nandito pa rin tayo kasi that's the drill. Dapat diyan ka lang. Laging sinasabi ni madam yan. Huwag kang umalis. Diyan ka lang. Ito na mangyari. Huwag kang aalis. Basta diyan ka lang. Dito. Kasi pag aalis ka, hindi mo maiintindihan. Diba? Excuse me. Dito pa rin tayo guys. Pilit natin Pilit natin kina-catch up. Ito, mga dapat natin matutunan everyday sa crypto. Kasi rewarding siya. Super rewarding siya. Pagka alam mo yung ginagawa mo. Hindi ka atat, hindi ka anga-anga. Super rewarding siya. Literal na super rewarding siya. So, ayan. Gusto ko to. Lagay natin sa Wednesday. Wednesday ngayon. Bukas Thursday na. Kumusta naman? Bilis. Bilis ng araw. You know, ang ganda ng ginagawa ng karamihan ngayon, no? Diba? Sobrang ganda ng mga ginagawa nila. Pero okay lang. Okay lang na hindi tayo nakasabay. Huwag magalit. Huwag magtampo. Yan talaga ang buhay. Okay lang. Bawi na lang ulit. Ganyan. Ganito lang naman mga inaano natin. Yan. Kausapin lang natin yung sarili natin kasi nga wala kailangan natin kausapin. Diba? Kailangan natin kausapin ang ating mga sarili kasi kung hindi natin kakausapin ito yung before, pero is it ano pa ba? Valid pa ba na ito yung gagawin kong, diba? Is it valid pa ba? Pwede ko nga tanggalin to eh. Tanggalin ko na lang. Yun o. Kasi minsan na ano din ako, na-overwhelm din ako pagka sobrang na. Diba? So, yan. Yung resistance dyan. Ito naman. Sigala yun, no? Ay, sigal. So, yan. Umangat na sigal, diba? Karoon na siya ng move na umangat siya kasi may volatility area dito. Tapos, andito siya. Bumalik siya dito, no? So, umangat na naman. Tanggalin muna natin siya. So, nag-iba na yung list natin ngayon. Baguhin natin yung list. Diba? Like, for example, this one. Tapos na yung pa-descending, diba? Dito naman. So, paano ba ito kalupit? Okay ba talaga to? Yun o. Nice one. ARPA. Sali natin. Ayan. Everyday, dapat nandito lang talaga tayo. Kasi pag umalis ako, baka may bago. Kasi hindi ko nasabayan. Diba? Yun yung nakakaasar. Uy, may bago pala. Tapos hindi ko nasabayan. Hayaan ko muna ng ganyan. Isa-isahin ko na lang. Yan. So, katulad nito, diba? Pagka-out, back. Tapos, ganito pala to. Diba? Dati kasi, pag nasasaktan ako, maalis ako. May masakit nga lang pusong ko, maalis ako. Ngayon, masakit pusong ko, pero nakatulog ako. Yum yung tulog. Yan, GTC, pasok natin. Okay? Tapos mamaya, pagpipilian pa natin. Wednesday ngayon, no? Tingnan natin tong alendog ni GRT. Syempre, hahanap na rin tayo. Gusto natin yung magandang volatility area. Katulad ng DYDX. Diba? Tapos mamaya, tingnan natin kung gaano ba siya kayam-yam. DYDX. Uy, nice one to si DYDX. So, tingnan natin 15. Yun o. Okay na sa akin to. Kung okay na sa akin to, kumusta si BTC? Yun o. Laki. Pero BTC, how are you? Malapit sa resistance si BTC. Tingnan natin anong gagawin niya. Diba? Okay, sinira niya tong ginagawa natin trend line. Ngayon, dito, resistance to eh. Minor lang naman. Pero, okay. Kita. Minor resistance nyo to. Diba? Ano kayong gagawin niya? Minor resistance. So, mamaya na tayo aarangkada. Nalay tayo eh. So, ayan, balik tayo sa paghanap kasi na-late na tayo. Lupit naman ang ginawa ni nagpaas sa S15. Paasa kasi siya masyado. So, yun. Pero kung malakas talaga siya, why not, no? Tingnan natin. Ang lakas din ito. Sama natin.
The same day. The same day I heard about it, I went and got a copy. Someone says, well, does that make you different than most everybody else? And the answer is yes. Yes. Somebody says, why is that? We don't know. You don't know, I don't know, nobody knows. Guess how many people in America have a library card? 3%. Wisdom of the world available. Change your health, change your life, change your future, change your marriage, change your relationship with your family. There's no lack of information. But 3% of the people have a library card. 97% couldn't be bothered with the wisdom of the world. At 4:15, the guy's not headed for the library. He's headed for happy hour. 2 for 1, and it doesn't mean books. And this guy wonders why he doesn't get paid more. I'm telling you, the answer lies here. Now here's my advice. Join the 10%. Walk away from the 90%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't use excuses like they use. Join the 10% who find a little book. Join the 3% who have a library card. Guess how many people can retire from the income of their own resources when it comes time to retire? 5%. 95% wind up dependent. 5% wind up independent. I'm asking you to join the 5%. Walk away from the 95% who won't marshal their resources to a good end. I'm asking you to walk away from the careless. Walk away from those who blame an unlevel playing field, or blame the Republicans, right? Or blame their employer, or blame the economy, or blame interest rates and taxes and prices. I'm asking you to walk away from that kind of thinking. Join the 5%. Join the 3%. Join the 10%. And you'll have the kind of life you've always wanted. For those who do become the envy of all who watch. And the 90% wonder why it doesn't happen for them, and they wonder why you were so lucky. But your testimony will now be, here's how I did it. I went and found the book. I got me a library card. I put my finances together so that I became financially independent. I joined the 5%. I'm asking you to do that. You must take on responsibility for your own education. Now, those first few years of our life, right, we were forced to. Through high school, you got to go to school. Someone says, well, I've finished school. Well, it's okay to finish school, but here's the clue. Zig Ziglar said it well. Don't finish your education. Education is a lifetime matter. Education goes on and on. The next clue can double the resources of the values of your life. Never cease your quest for knowledge. Become self-educated. That's the clue. It's like motivation. You got to be mostly self-motivated. Life reserves all of its treasures for the self-motivated. Somebody says, boy, if somebody just come by and turn me on, what if they don't show up? I mean, you got to have a better plan for your life. Self-motivation. Now, here's the last clue, self-education. Formal education gets you a job. Self-education gets you rich. Formal education make you a living. Self-education make you a fortune. So I'm asking you to do like you're doing today. Never cease your quest for knowledge. Develop a thirst for ideas that can be life-changing, and then pass it along to your children. What's been so exciting for me, ever since I learned this stuff, I also learned ways to pass it along. At first, I passed it along to my employees. I passed it along to the people who worked for me, and some of the people that I knew in my neighborhood. But then, when I was invited to step outside my little comfortable environment of my corporate world, and step out to the public like I'm doing today, and share it with an audience outside, that's when my life took on a whole new dimension. And there isn't anybody here who can't share. Recommend a book. Quote someone a poem. Give someone a dialogue from a movie that causes someone to think. Quote the lyrics from a song. Give someone the benefit of just a minute or two of your experience. It may be a light in a dark place that'll help somebody to walk out of the shadows and into the sunlight. One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard. but they don't think hard. And Shoaff taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, "As you think, so you become." How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. The guy says, "I want to be a great leader." Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number one. Somebody says, "Well, why check his library?" The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, "Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life?" I said, "It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful." I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, "Well, you'd be okay." I said, "What if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee?" They said, "Well, you'd be dead." I said, "Correct. Lesson one. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful." I said, "What if my worst enemy drops in the sugar?" They said, "Well, you'd be okay." I said, "What if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine?" They said, "Well, you'd be dead." I said, "Correct. Lesson two. Watch your coffee." You got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account, wherever you get it. Mr. Shoaff gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him, when he said, "Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind." How important. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results. Philosophy is simply what you know. Now, to correct a couple of old cliches, what you don't know will hurt you. And to correct another one, ignorance is not bliss. Boy, it's so important to have the correct philosophy. It's so important to know. Philosophy sets the course of your life. Philosophy is simply what you know. So it's important to know. I'm telling the kids these days, make sure you get the information while you're here. I'm talking to the Newport Harbor high school kids in some lectures last year and this year. And my encouragement is, make sure you get all the information while you're here. I know it's laborious. I know it isn't easy to read the books and take the classes and try to get good grades. But hey, while you're here, gather it all up. The book you miss will make a difference. Right? The information you don't get will make a difference in the legacy of your equities over the next few months, the next few years. So philosophy, this is where it all begins. Now, I've divided philosophy into 3 parts. One is basic, starting out philosophy. The baby starts processing information right away. Cold is bad, warm is good, hungry is awful, food is terrific. The baby starts reacting and processing information and having certain reactions to it. So our philosophy starts early, gathering information and reacting to it. Next is expanded philosophy. At least enough philosophy to be gainfully employed and offer a value to society and find your place in the marketplace. You know, be a reasonable, decent human being. Expanded philosophy. But now how do you become wealthy and powerful and sophisticated, influential and unique? Simple word, refined philosophy. The refinement of philosophy. The extra studies and the extra books and the extra classes and the extra thinking, the extra pondering, the extra give and take of testing ideas and debate and discussion. That's where the extra life comes from, is in the dimensions of refined philosophy, the extra thinking. And these are the steps of intellectual discovery that a lot of people just don't want to take, or they're too busy to take it, or it presents itself in too strong and tough a manner, these extra skills. But I'm telling you, once you start engaging in these extra skills, you won't ever want to go back. This new intellectual discovery is where the wealth is. It's where the happiness is, the good life, influence, power. Refinement of philosophy. Now, our philosophy comes from a lot of places. Let me give it to you. Number 1, from teaching, the influence of others, from the books we read, from the classes we take. And you might underline the word influence. This is where a big share of our philosophy comes from. Influence. In another series, we asked 3 major questions. Who am I around? That's called big questions. Some questions are little and some are big. This is a big one. Who am I around? Question number 2, what are they doing to me? This is called major. This is called big. Where have they got me going? What have they got me reading? What have they got me thinking? What have they got me saying? And the big biggie, what have they got me becoming? Influence plays a major role in the development of our philosophy. How we think, how we speak, the formulation of ideas, the things we weigh concerning values. All of this is so important. What we know, the mind, thinking, processing ideas and information. Ideas are simply information taking form. Now, we do something very important with what we know. We weigh it. We put it on our mental scales and we weigh it. And I don't know, we may give it a number from 1 to 10. Probably not consciously. But if we hear something and we come into possession of some information and we give it a 10, we'll probably act on it right away. If we give it a 1, we'll probably let it slide. If it's important, we'll do something about it. If we don't think it's important, we'll probably let it go. But it's so important to evaluate. A key word we learn in leadership skill training, perception. Trying to find value in something. Where is the value? How valuable is it? How important is it? Is there something here that I can't see at first glance? Is there something below the surface? Is there something in the inner workings of it? What goes behind it? What goes beyond it? What is its origin? All of these questions that help us come to the perception of value, ideas, evaluating information. Now, here's what's important: to have a good set of mental scales. What if in processing information your mental scales were off? And you weighed everything a little wrong? Do you think that would affect your life? The answer is, of course. And all you got to be is a little off for 10 years. And you can imagine what the difference is. I got a key phrase for you. Life accumulates. We either accumulate the debt or the value. We either accumulate the regret or we accumulate the equity. Now, we must all suffer one of 2 pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And I'm suggesting discipline. Mental discipline to refine ideas. Of course it's laborious, and of course it's a push, but it's called small price to pay so that you won't have the regret later on. Regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces. So if you accept the early ounces of discipline of thought to refine ideas and not just let major questions go by, what about society? What about the government? What about taxes? What about religion? What about life? What about capital? What about business? What about society? All of these major questions. What about my life and my value and my place and my future? And what about life? What about origin? What about destiny? What about opportunity? What about possibility? All of these major questions, to let them go casually by is to miss the treasures that your life could accumulate into in the coming months, the coming years. So this is called major. What we ponder and what we think about sets the course of our life. It's like the set of the sail that's taking us somewhere. Let me give you a good question to write down. Where are my thoughts taking me? This is a biggie question. Where are my thoughts taking me? These are some of the things you want to make sure of. You might be able to be casual about some things, but here's some things not to be casual about. My philosophy is taking me somewhere. Big question, where? The accumulation of equity will either be there or won't be there. Life accumulates. And I'm either accumulating debt that I'll be sorry for, or I'm accumulating value that I'll be happy about. It's not what happens that determines your life future. It's what you do about what happens. All of us are in like a little sailboat. And it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination. It's the set of the sail. So jot this phrase down. It's one of the best to understand. Kids need to understand it. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change. The wind when it's upside down, the wind when it's favorable and unfavorable. The same wind blows on us all. The economic wind, the social wind, the political wind. The same wind blows on everybody. The difference in where you arrive in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, the difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail. And that's what learning is all about, to set a better sail this year than last year. To set a better sail. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. You say, well, the Democrats must have finally gotten power. No. No. It was not a political change. Here's what changed the second 6 years of my economic life. It was my philosophy that changed. The set of the sail of better thinking, correcting the errors of the past and picking up new disciplines for the future. That's all I had to do at the end of the first 6. Correct the errors of the past and then pick up some new disciplines for the future. And my total life changed. The second 6 years was totally different than the first 6 of my working life. And guess who can do that? Anybody. Now you can keep on the same path for the next couple of years as you have the past 2. But if you wish to, and maybe everything's okay for you and you don't need to, but if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you, you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last 2. And anybody who wishes to do that can. And you can do it between ages 40 and 43. You can do it between ages 13 and 15. You can do it between ages 60 and 62. Any 2 years, any 5 years that you wish to drastically change from the previous 5, you can do it. If you wish to. Now, this isn't written. This is not a law. Here's what it's called. Opportunity. If you don't know you can drastically change your income, change your future, change your health, change your marriage, change everything. If you don't know that, some people then go year after year after year after year not making much change simply because they didn't get to the class. They never read the book. They never went to the seminar. They never made the discovery. They didn't seek for the knowledge of how could I make my life better. And if you just rock along, I'm telling you it's okay. Anybody can live any way they choose, but I'm here to tell all of you that if you wish to, it's possible to make the next 3 years totally different than the last 3. And all you have to do is just a few things. So if you got that one now, it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your income. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your fortune. It's the set of the sail. And that's why we gathered here today. Maybe I've got some ideas that'll help you with a couple of little things about setting the sail of your thinking that might drastically give you multiplied more benefit the next 3 years than you've gotten in the last 3. Don't
wish it was easier, wish you were better. Once I understood this, this altered the course of my life. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And here's the big one. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. You don't need less problems. You simply need more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Accept the challenge, because you can't grow without a challenge. You can't get rich without a challenge. You can't fly without gravity. You have to understand the challenge. But that's the key, is to now develop wisdom to overcome the challenge. Don't wish for less challenge, but more wisdom. And then here's one more philosophy that helped change my life forever. You can do the most remarkable things no matter what happens. Humans can do the most remarkable things no matter what happens. Philosophies that changed my life.
But
Human beings are the only life on earth that has this incredible capacity to change the course of your life. No other life form can do that. Every other life form except humans seems to operate simply by instinct and the genetic code. In the winter, the goose flies south. How often? Answer, every winter. If you said to the goose, hey, it'd be better this year to go west, he ignores that advice. And the reason is because he cannot make choices and listen to advice of something that might be better. He has to obey instinct and the genetic code. But now jot this down, not human beings. Human beings can alter the course of their life. Human beings can live one way for 5 years, tear up that script, live a totally different way the next 5 years. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. Someone says, how did you do that? Here's number one. I discovered I was not a goose. Someone says, don't you have to do the second 6 years like you did the first 6 years? And jot this down. No. No, you don't have to live the second 6 years like the first 6. You can use all the information and all the advice and repairing all of your mistakes and adopting a new and refined philosophy so that the next 6 years can be totally different than the last 6. No other life form can do this. See, if you were a tree, you'd be stuck. As a tree, if you used up all the nourishment that was around you and you couldn't change location, see, you would die. But that's not true. Human beings can change location, go north, south, east, west, live here for a while, live somewhere else for a while. So that's a note to make. You can greatly alter the course of your life. Now here's the next note to make. 5 years from now, you will arrive. The question is where? This is for mature people now. If you keep up your present disciplines and keep up the present pace that you're on, where will you be in 5 years? Boy, it's easy to say, hey, I haven't really thought about that. So now make this note. In 5 years, here's the probability. You will either arrive at a well-designed destination or an undesigned destination. Well-designed or undesigned. And I promise you, 5 years from now, you really don't want to arrive at an undesigned destination. Because you may very well wind up wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, living where you don't want to live, maybe doing what you don't want to do. Simply because you didn't design a better destination. Key phrase, up front, the decisions are easy. Now, sometimes after we've lived a few years, now to repair our mistakes and get back on track seems like a tough job. But here's the key, and it's so exciting to talk to the teenagers. Make the note. If you start early, the fortune belongs to you. If you start early. All fortunes that are available to humans, if you start early, the promise looms large and the odds are heavy in your favor. Now, yes, it's possible to do some radical things starting late and still arrive with some good treasures and some good things. But when you haven't got that much time left, now sometimes the decision has to be so drastic people are not willing to make it and they're too tired and too weary and too ill. And say, look, I don't have much time left. It's not going to happen for me anyway. It's easy to take that attitude. But everyone here, we've got the time over the next 10 years. We've got the time the next 20 years. We've got the time the next 30 years to make some repair now in our errors of the past and set up some new disciplines. And I'm telling you, that's going to change everything. So, 5 years from now, I wish for you to arrive at a well-designed place. A place of productivity, a place that'll make you feel good about yourself, a place that'll give you honor and respect, a place that'll give you influence to touch other people 5 years from now that you couldn't do today. Where will you be in 5 years? Key phrase, we go the direction we face. We go the direction we face. If you start designing something at the end of this direction, sure enough, you will start going the direction you face.
Naamoy mo.
Next phrase, direction determines destination.
Ha?
Destination is not
Mami, no?
determined by hope. It's not determined by wish. Destination is determined by direction. You cannot change destination overnight. You cannot change destination overnight. Which means you can't arrive at a 5 years from now place tomorrow. But here's what you can change today and overnight. You can change direction. And it is so fascinating what a little small change of direction will do. A few decisions in discipline, a few decisions in learning, a few decisions in change of behavior, change of habit, a few decisions in setting goals that you've sort of let drift before. Like I did at age 25, didn't have a list. I immediately started to change that. And I immediately started to change my direction. In less than 7 years, I was a millionaire. And that was just my economics. But I am so thankful for the circumstances and whatever else arranged it for me. Some things are arranged and we don't even know how they've occurred. For you to be here, do you imagine the chain of circumstances that caused you to be able to sit in this auditorium today? It's amazing. This had to happen and this had to happen and this door had to close and this door had to open. And all of those things, for me to be here, for you to be here, I just didn't drop out of the sky, right? And you arrived here from all kinds of directions. Here we are. And so we just say, wow, part of that's a mystery, and we let it be a mystery. We don't even try to figure it out. We just say, wow, it's incredible. But now that we're here, how could we collectively and individually affect each other's lives? It's by doing just what we've done. Study, learn, teach, shake hands, trade stories, and do all the stuff. So that we can help other people as well as ourselves to make that small journey to a new direction. So jot that down. It's only a small journey to a new direction. Guess how quickly you can change your health? By starting to eat an apple a day. Mama said an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Let's say you've been ill long enough and you've had health problems long enough and you say, that's it. That's over. I'm going to now start a program. You don't have to really revolutionize your whole health life. Just start with an apple a day. You say, well, is it that simple to change your health life? And the answer is yes. The key is just to start. You know, you pick up a book on good health and you get halfway through the book and it says, now, dear reader, set this book aside, fall down on the floor and see how many push-ups you can do. And then it goes on to say, and if you have not done that, why not give this book away? It looks like you're not going to do it. Come on, you don't have to radically do something. You can gain momentum and make changes as you go. Just start. Here's what happens when you start a new direction. Self-esteem starts to accelerate. It doesn't take much for you to feel good about yourself. Just committed to a new direction and you feel good. And an apple a day, committed to finally having a health program that'll make you the healthiest you've ever been in the next 20 years, all you got to do is munch on that first apple. And nobody even has to be around you, and you don't have to announce it to the world. But you munch on that first apple and say, this is the beginning of developing a health program that's going to make me so healthy I'll have the vitality to do whatever I want to do for the next 30 years of my life. Munch, munch, happy, happy, self-esteem, off the scale. Now, if you eat an apple the second day, you become almost delirious. Saying, wow, I'm on my way. Somebody said, just 2 apples? Says, look, you don't understand. Not only did I do it yesterday, I've done it again today. This is really proving to myself with no audience, no microphones, no nothing, just you and yourself. You've convinced yourself, I'm on my way to the healthiest I ever have been. I'm starting a new life. This is the 2nd day. I'm on my way. That's how easy it is to change your life. You don't need some dramatic vision. Just begin something. And maybe by health or by whatever other things we can think of to do, you just get back on a better track.
Now here's the laws of wealth from 3 excellent sources. First is the Bible. Second is John Kennedy. Third is Zig Ziglar. That's good company. I'm happy Zig's here today. You're going to enjoy. The wealth formula. Okay? First, I've already quoted from the Bible. He that wishes to be the greatest, find a way to serve the many. So that's the first key to the wealth formula. Service to many, finding a way. Now, some may have a wish to serve many, but you need a way. So you keep searching till you find a way, because if you search, you will find a way to serve more and more so that your life will be greater and greater. The second, John Kennedy's inaugural speech. Here's what he said. Don't ask. Don't we wish that was the current political philosophy? Where is John Kennedy? John Kennedy said, don't ask what the country can do for you. No matter how poor you are. Don't ask. That's not how you get trophies to put on the mantle above the fireplace. That's not how you become wealthy and rich. That's not how you have abundance. Don't ask what the people can do for you. But, he said, ask, what could I do for my country? What could I do for my neighbor? What could I do for the people in my community? How could I serve more than myself? Ask what you could do for your country. And some people have found out a way to serve the whole country. Some find a way to serve a limited piece of the country. Some find a way to serve a few right around their neighborhood. Some find a way to serve working on a job, rendering a service. But that's the key. Don't ask what they can do for you. Ask, what could I do for them? Why? Asking, what could I do, and beginning the process starts wealth moving in your direction. Key phrase, whatever you move toward tends to move towards you. If you move toward intelligent, it seems now to move towards you. God says, you move toward me, and I will move toward you. You take human steps, I take God's steps, I get there very quickly. Whatever you move toward, if you move toward success, success seems to start coming your way. So, figure out what you could do to make the move, to begin the early qualifications, and then sustain the qualifications, and success is yours, and health is yours, and all valuable things are yours. Now, the third, of course, is Zig Ziglar, and I'm going to borrow. Hopefully, he wasn't going to use it today, so I get to borrow it. Zig's got the best formula put in layman's terms I've ever heard. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. Help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. When I first heard that, I underlined the word everything. And guess what I did? I went for it. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. Here's another way to put it. If you help enough people get what they need, you can have everything you need. So you don't supply your need by concentrating on your need. You supply your need by concentrating on the answer, by the deserving, helping enough people. This weekend is another part of my life. Sharing, helping translating my experiences by the best language I can choose, as awkward as it sometimes seems. Words are clumsy sometimes when you try to express what's going on in your head, let alone your heart. But I'm going to struggle best I can these days with the English language, trying to make it valuable to all of you. Okay. Now, start a little subject called personal development. As you know my story, I met someone when I was 25 years old. His name was Earl Schoaf, who dropped into my life at an extraordinary time. So, key phrase, timing has a lot to do with it, and who knows, part of the mystery of time, the timing. Part of the timing one I just had that experience that I've shared in other seminars when the Girl Scout knocked on my door. And I walked to the door and she gives me the big pitch on the Girl Scout cookies, best organization in the world for girls. Got several flavors, time to buy the cookies, only $2. And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. No problem, I wanted to buy. Big problem, I didn't have $2 in my pocket. And I didn't want to tell her that. So I did what I thought was next best. I lied to her. And I said, hey, look, I've already bought plenty of Girl Scout cookies. We've still got plenty in the house we haven't eaten yet. She said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get lying to a Girl Scout? I mean, that's low down. I told myself that day, this will never happen to me. One of those experiences. It's called like life-changing. I said, I'm going to search till I find better opportunities so my pocket won't be empty and the bank account won't be empty. And I won't be so far behind on my promises to my family. And it was shortly after that, I meet Earl Schoaf, who taught me how to be wealthy, who taught me how to change my life. So who knows what the connection is, right? Someone says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I don't know all the mystery of that. But anyway, it seems like some of those things uniquely happen. But it was Mr. Schoaf over a 5-year period before he died at age 49 who taught me some extraordinarily simple things. He only went to the 9th grade in school, never finished high school, never went to college, never went to university. So he put his ideas and his experiences in very simple language, which I think for me, a kid from the farms of Idaho, that simplicity was so important. Because if it would have been technical, I'd have missed it. If it would have been mystic, I would have, backed away. But it was just basic, blunt, ABC, familiar stuff that I hadn't thought of before. And he did start to remind me, and those ideas changed my life. Mr. Schoaf was the one when I said, this is all they pay. He said, you've been working 6 years, Mr. Owen, how come you're not doing better? And I said, this is all the company pays. He says, well, that's not true. I said, no, this is my paycheck. This is all the company pays. He said, no, this is all the company pays you. I thought, that's a new way to look at it, right? He said, doesn't the company pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times this amount to other people? And I said, well, yes. He said, well, then this is not all the company pays. It's all they pay you. And if you qualified, wouldn't your income grow 2, 3, 4, 5 times? I said, I suppose. So he said, we don't have to work on the company. We have to work on you. See, that was the beginning of what he called the phrase personal development. I told him things cost too much. He said, no, you can't afford them. I thought, well, that's a new concept. I hadn't thought about that. We put some of the valuable things on the high shelf, so you can't get to them until you qualify. If you want the things on the higher shelf, you got to stand on the books you read. Every book you read, you get to stand a little higher so you can get the things on the higher shelf. See, I learned those concepts. It was so incredible. And here was the most important one. Success is something you attract by the person you become. See, that phrase changed my life. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. It's like chasing a butterfly. You can't quite catch it. Success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. See, those were new concepts to me. I'm just working hard trying to make a living. Here's what he said to me. This changed my life. I got a chance to teach this in Moscow and across Russia. 3 visits, now the 4th. Here's what Shove taught me. Profits are better than wages. Nobody taught me that in high school. Nobody taught me that. I went to 1 year of college. Nobody taught me. Profits are better than wages. Wages make you a living. Profits make you a fortune. And how could you work on both a living and a fortune? He said, well, you could start part-time working on your fortune while you're working full-time on your living. I thought, wow. Now he said it's fun to get up in the morning. Not just getting up, go to work to pay the rent, but to get up to go to work to make a fortune. First, to make a living for my family. Second, to make a fortune. And he taught me how to make both a living and a fortune. Guess what I did? I learned how to make both a living and a fortune. And I found out anybody could do it once they get the information. And at age 25, I started receiving this extraordinary information. Here's what he said. Your income is directly related to your philosophy, not to the economy. I thought, no one ever told me that. I kept hoping the economy would change. He said, no, your philosophy has to change. I assured him that I had my fingers crossed. He said, that won't help. Then what could I do to change my income and multiply it by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10, and then multiply it by 10 again? What could I do? And he started giving me the disciplines and the process of learning the skills to change my life. This was an extraordinary man. Those were extraordinary times for me. Life-changing in every manner that you can imagine. But very simple ABC concepts. Here's what I learned. Not to search for the exotic until you've discovered the basic. And those basic philosophies that he shared with me during that time were life-changing. And he called it personal development. Now, in the understanding of personal development, let's go through it quickly. Some notes before we take our first break. If you're okay, say, I'm okay. How many of you have 1 page of notes already? You jot these ideas down. First, for personal development, we must understand the law of the seasons and the lesson of the seasons, which prompted that first book. The first book of mine, Seasons of Life. Here's the phrase, life in business is like the changing seasons. Frank Sinatra used to sing, life is like the seasons. Next phrase, you cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. The seasons are set. As soon as we arrive on this spinning planet headed somewhere, that's the question to ask. What is the setup? First, so I can survive. Second, so I can succeed. So one of the first things to do is to learn the rhythm of the seasons. The rhythm of night and day. Day follows night. Night follows day. Opportunity follows difficulty. Difficulty follows opportunity. Recession follows expansion. Regularly. Expansion follows recession. Sadness follows joy. Joy follows sadness. It's called the rhythm of life. So in the seasons now, make these notes. First, learn to handle the winters. Hopefully each winter we get stronger by the process of the experience of the past winters. Learning the lessons of the past to apply to the present. In the winter you have to hang on. In the winter you have to endure. It's part of the rhythm of life. And there's all kinds of winters. Physical winters and personal winters and political winters. Communism cast a long shadow on 1/3 of the world in that long winter of despotism. About 75, 80 years it lasted. Political winters, social winters, spiritual winters, personal winters, when things don't work well. Barbara Streisand sings, it used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love songs, you don't say you need me, and you don't bring me flowers anymore. A song of winter. But we're all acquainted with those experiences. But here's the key. You must just hang on in the winter. Make the note. It doesn't last forever. Some winters seem longer than others. Some winters seem tougher than others. Some winters are more critical and crucial than others. But here's the note. They will pass. The night can only be a few hours. As far as we know, there's never been a double night. And the whole key to this is, surely you can make it just a few hours. Hang on. Whether it's playing a game or whether it's an enterprise, the winters do come. Mickey Mantle, my hero back in those days of the Yankees. Wow. He used to get in the batting slump. It was tragic to watch. This is the home run king. This is the fastest man in baseball. This is one of the most accomplished players ever to play the game. But he used to have these terrible slumps when it seemed like he couldn't get a hit or he couldn't get very many and he couldn't hit home runs. And someone asked him one time, what do you start changing? He said, I don't change anything. He said, what do you do? He said, I wait till it's over. Right? You just keep swinging and you just keep hanging in there until finally it passes. Maybe you need a little touch of refinement, but for the most part, here's what you have to do. Endure. Because the winter finally passes and the night finally fades away and the daylight comes and the shadows flee away. So the winters we just have to handle. Here's what's next, the spring. Spring always comes. Opportunity follows difficulty. Day follows night. Here's what spring is called, opportunity. Spring is not a guarantee. It's guaranteed to come, but it's not spring that guarantees the harvest. Here's what you must do. Use the spring to your best advantage. And you've got to hurry because spring is usually not very long. The short season of spring reminds us of urgency. If you want a full harvest, come harvest time, you've got to take advantage, but you must do it quickly. Spring is the opportunity to meet someone. Sometimes you have to do it quickly. Here's a person, you say, be nice to meet that person, but before you get a chance to say hello, they're gone. In space language, we call it window of opportunity. If the rocket doesn't launch and if the spacecraft doesn't go in an appointed time, it's got to wait for another cycle of times. If you don't get it planted this spring, you've got to wait for another cycle of seasons before you have another chance. So, the urgency of spring. Life is brief, so take advantage of every spring you can get for your lifetime. The Beatles wrote, life is very short. And for John Lennon, it was extra short. For Michael Landon, it was extra short. For my dear business colleague, Mark Hughes, it was extra short. He died at age 44. So, it's brief. Bill Bailey reminded me, it's easy to say I've got 20 more years. But here, that sometimes fakes you out, saying I've got 20 more years, meaning it looks like you got a lot of time. But here's what he said, if you go fishing once a year, you've only got 20 more times to go fishing. Not 20 years to go fishing, 20 times. So you've got to make each time count when the opportunity comes, each time. So take into account the brevity of life. My father lived to be 93, but it seemed so short. I kept asking for another 10 years, another 10 years, and finally, it ran out. But 93 is not bad, but it still seemed short. So it is short. So pick up the urgency of spring now. Knock on every door to find the opportunity. Search and search till you find answers for your future. And do it quickly, because spring is short. What if you asked a farmer to go bowling in the spring? He would say insanity. You can go bowling in the winter, but you can't go bowling in the spring. Good note to make. What to do in springtime.
Man.
People are born hungry. During the first few moments of life, a human infant is totally consumed by its appetite. First for air, then for nourishment. People stay hungry too. We're hungry all our lives. But exactly what it takes to satisfy our hunger usually changes a great deal. By the time we reach adulthood, some of us are hungry for wealth and power. Some of us are hungry for truth. Some people want everyone to love them. Others want everyone to fear them. But there's a fundamental challenge with all these appetites. None of them can ever be permanently satisfied. When it comes to wanting things, there's never any such thing as enough. And that can really get on our nerves. You get a new car, but in a couple of years, it's an old car. You get a new computer. It does everything real fast, certainly faster than the one your neighbor's got. But then a year goes by, and now your neighbor gets a computer that's even faster than yours. Where does it all end? There's really only one kind of person who's actually comfortable